Hello, welcome back to Creative Painting. Now, one of the popular mediums in painting are oils. Now, we're going to do a fair bit of oil painting during this series, so let's have a look at some of the paraphernalia and some of the stuff that goes with oil painting which you might be a little bit sure of. Oil paint is oil paint, fair enough, it's in a tube and you squeeze it out. But what are in these bottles, Bonita?
Basically what I've got in these bottles here, John, is I've got low odour thinners.
Okay, let's have a look at that one. That's low odour thinner there, okay, that's a good idea, because the odour can put people off oil painting.
It can do, yeah.
With the turpentine and stuff. And what's the other?
This is the linseed oil.
Okay, so we've got two things here: low odour thinner, linseed oil. What do we do with them?
Basically, you want to use 50% of each of those, and you'll use those to thin down your paint. Okay,
so if we've got these two bottles, we put them in a jug and then pour it out, both in the same jug. Pour it out into the bottles. We've got a 50% medium in each, 50-50 medium in each bottle.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
That's good. What else have we got?
What we've got here is a fast drying Alchy medium. Now this does a similar job to what those two bottles do there, but obviously it dries out a bit faster.
Okay, let's have a look at that. So that's, if you want your paintings to dry a little bit quicker, then you add a little bit of this. You don't need much, do you? You just need about a thumbnail into your paint, and then that will help the drying process. It'll speed it up a little bit. Because one of the problems with oil sometimes, it can take days, if not weeks, to have a surface, a dry surface.
The other thing is you'll need some sort of palette to put your paints out onto.
Okay, anything special about this palette?
This one's a flexible one, so basically put your paints on there, it's very easy to clean.
Oh, I like the idea of that. We do like the idea of that. This is a plastic palette, and like you see, it's quite flexible, so the oil paint or acrylic, in this case oil paint, doesn't stick to it, it just peels off. Yeah, I like the idea of that one, that's a good idea. Okay, what else have we got?
We've got the brushes that we generally use for oil painting.
Right, let's have a look at those. So these are the 4 brushes that that Bonita and I use on nearly all our oil paintings, whether it's a copy of an old master or just a whack it on a la primer. If you stick to sort of 4 or 5 brushes, you'll find that you use them on every painting, so you tend to get a little bit more skillful with 4 brushes than you do with 20. Now, this brush is our 1.5 inch bristle brush hake, which is usually big brush, big surfaces. When we're sort of doing things like these big skies in the background, this is the brush that we use. We also use it for sort of doing trees and things like that. That is a useful brush, so that's that one. Then we've got a flat. Quite often you need to cut into paint, and you need to lay paint on and then cut into it, and this is what we use that one for. We'll be showing you all these techniques in our paintings, and this one is the number 4 hog bristle fan.
Blender.
Okay, and what would you use this for?
I use that predominantly for trees, John, but also for blending, as its name implies.
For trees and blending, and I've also seen you use it for water as well.
I use it for water, and I also use it to actually flick up, and again you can do sort of the grass or the...
Okay, well I think you'll be doing a seascape on that, so
yeah.
That'll be interesting to see how that one works. And then we've got the number 6 rigger, which is long thin rigger, and this is the same rigger that we use in watercolours because it's synthetic and it lasts a long time. The same as that. That's exactly the same brush. So anybody that's watched any of the programmes or any of the videos, then you'll know that this is the same brush that we use in acrylics, watercolour and oils. So that's nice and economical to do. One size fits all on that. Okay, so what else have we got? Palette knives. Now I use a lot of palette knife work, and I know you do, and we favour this shape. Now unfortunately it's got a name, it's called a coffin shaped palette knife. I prefer to call it diamond shaped, but there you are, and it's got this kink in it. Now one of the things is when people use a palette knife, quite often they hold it like this, and so what happens is you just get a sort of digging in on the painting, whereas if you can educate yourself, it's not easy but it works better, is if you hold it with 4 fingers and a thumb like that, then it means you can get the full face of the palette knife onto your painting and it doesn't gouge in, and it gives you a lot more flexibility and control if you're holding it like that rather than sort of like that. I mean, you can do it that way for certain things, but try and hold it that way, it looks better. Okay, and finally
we've got the stretched canvas.
Okay, this is what we'll be painting on. Now, can you tell us anything about this canvas?
The canvas has been primed with acrylic.
Okay, so that means that it's a canvas, it's primed with acrylic. The reason we have to have a primed canvas is because the linseed oil in the oil paint will attack the fabric. So quite in the old days they used to use rabbit skin glue and different kinds of gesso to actually prime the canvas. Today we use acrylic because it's more convenient and it's cheaper, and it does the same job, and that's to protect the canvas so it doesn't rot. And it's a stretch canvas. At the back we've got these little slots here where we put these sort of tabs in there, and we tap them in, and it stretches the canvas, because quite often, not so important with a 16 by 12 like this, but quite often we will get some atmospheric sort of problems with canvas in the fact that it absorbs the moisture, so it can get a bit floppy. And so if you drive these wedges into the back, it keeps it nice and taut.
The other thing is,
want to paint on a tight surface.
when you're putting this into a frame, of course, this just helps to sort of tighten everything in the fit.
It tightens everything up, yeah. So that's the idea of a stretch canvas. There are other surfaces to paint on, like boards and paper, but we'll be using the traditional canvas because we like it. Okay, so let's get on with a bit of oil painting.